Hello everyone! It is Sunday night and we are coming to you live from inside of Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida to help you wind down your weekend with this week's latest and greatest and new indie small press comics. Wow! As always, I'm your host, Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to get you excited about a bunch of awesome new books that you're definitely going to want to rush out to a store and grab immediately. But of course, if we're going to wind down our weekend, we got to start with our wine. And so today we are drinking a Tempranillo, which is my favorite kind of wine, and this is called Pixide, and it is from Spain. And so if I butchered the word, I'm very sorry. And I know absolutely nothing about this wine because it doesn't tell me anything on the bottle. But I do know that I have had the aerator in for like an hour, which is great because it's a Tempranillo, and those are known for being really spicy, and that kind of opens up a lot the longer you let air get into the bottle. So I'm really excited to see if we just start out with a really robust flavor because of that. So we're going to give it a drink. That is really smooth. It's like, I'm not even sure what I just tasted.
Oak, I think.
Might be some oak, like on that back end. And then, yeah, it's very smooth grapes, which they're very big on the fact that it's like natural, like carefully selected, like naturally sourced grapes is kind of like the only thing that they really say about it. It's like, honestly, like it's almost, well, it's all together, it's really dark, but like when you see it like flashing around, it's really thin, and it kind of tastes a little thin, but with also still having like a weight of flavor to it, which is nice. Like that initial like roll into your tongue kind of feels really light, but then it has something on the back end that's stronger. I know you're probably looking it up. Good.
Pomegranate.
Pomegranate.
Intense aromatic wine on the nose, aromas of mature red fruit, balsamic herbs, floral hints. Easy drinking fresh wine, medium bodied, excellent acidity. Spicy notes aged in oak.
Yeah, nailed it. The floral is definitely more of what I'm getting too than like anything. Although I don't know what a pomegranate tastes like straight out of like a pomegranate.
Oh, it kind of tastes like
Does
pomegranate
it?
to me, yeah.
I've only ever had like pomegranate and blended pomegranate juices.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what is this? I don't know if I could pinpoint that was pomegranate off the top of my head. But I definitely think that the medium thing is perfectly nailed. Like I just said, like it kind of looks dark, but it kind of looks really thin, and it kind of tastes thin initially with like a heavier back end. And so it's definitely right in the middle of all those things. But it is very smooth and easy to drink. So we're going to be drinking that throughout the show. If you're joining us, tuning in, whether you're watching this live on Facebook or you're catching it later on YouTube, let us know that you're here. We want to know what books you love this week, whether they're indie and small press or they're big too. I would just really love to know what people are reading. So if there's something that was really exciting for you this week, please let us know all about it in the comments. I'm going to slide that over for a second. As usual, we had a fantastic week here at Bat City. Our big event that we participated in this last week was we had SRQCon at the Selby Library, which was always a ton of fun. We packed the auditorium for a conversation on what it's like to work in the comic industry and like how you go about making your own comic and then what the steps are from going from there. So it was a lot of fun to really get to talk to kid creators all the way to adult creators and you know, like retired people. Like it was just all the different age spectrum. I would say we probably had kids as young as 5 in the room all the way up to adults near their 80s. And so it was really cool to have such a wide spectrum of people to talk about the comic book industry too. Plus we had a great table which we shared with artist P.T. Rawls, who we love, and it was really cool to have him out and get to show off his art to the world. And so we're really excited about that. And speaking of showing off your art to the world, if you didn't see the announcement, the Mad Cave's annual talent search, the 2025 talent search as it were, just launched. It runs until August 29th of this year. We always love to support creators who are going out for this Mad Cave talent search because we really believe in Mad Cave as a publisher, and the fact that they help out by finding 2 pencilers, they find 2 inkers, 2 colorists, they look for 2 writers. It's really cool that they actually give opportunity to that many people from the thing. And this year, it's another slew of great worlds that you can work in, because every year Mad Cave releases 4 worlds that you're able to submit work within from their own universe. And so this year, it's Exit City and Endless Night, which we're going to talk about today on the live stream, as well as Sanction, which is a really cool like crime story, like that cop that just won't give up, but in like Soviet Russia. And then the 4th one is Dark Pyramid, which is of course a story that we're really loving on the live stream right now from Paul Tobin. And so if you're interested in working in the comic industry, this is a great opportunity to kind of pitch something. The specifications are on their website. If you're local to Bradenton and you're interested, we do a annual midway through the process, we do an annual like pitch review of our own. So if you've got something you're working on, or if you have an idea and you're not sure if it'll work, our creator meetup at the end of July will actually be our Mad Cave Talent Search Creator Meetup, so you can bring what you're working on. So get started on that, bring it in. Myself and Adrian, as well as every other artist and writer that comes to Creator Meetup, will all pass their stuff around and talk about it, but Adrian and I will be there to kind of give you some guidance from published creators who can help you with your portfolio and your pitch. So that'll be coming up in July, but of course there's always great things coming up immediately, and this week is no exception. This Thursday is our Fresh Start Book Club at 7 p.m. We are reading Firepower #1. It is an Image First title, so you can come and grab that for $1 at the store. It is from Robert Kirkman, who is the creator of Walking Dead and Invincible, so it's going to be really cool. It actually feels more like Invincible than it does Walking Dead, so we'll probably have a lot of comparison conversations. But if you're a fan of Kirkman's work, this is definitely one that you'll want to jump in and try, and you can for only $1. So that's this Thursday at 7 when we'll be talking about it, but feel free to stop by anytime this week and grab that book. Or just come if you want to learn about it. It'll be a lot of fun. And then this Saturday, I believe there is a slam class this Saturday with Adrian. Yes, a composition class. So if you are wanting to improve your composition skills, kids, teens, come out and, we have some people who are in their early 20s coming as well. If you want to just learn some skills, Adrian will be teaching those for that 2-hour class. It is free to join, so feel free to pop in and join us this Saturday at 3:30. Otherwise, it's of course going to be a great week, but before we get there, we have to talk about the one that just happened with all of these comics. So I'm going to take another drink of my wine really fast. Oh wow. More pepper, more spice, more good, more flavor coming your way. All right, so we are going to kick it off with Kaya, issue 27 from Image. I say this every time, but I am so excited that an all ages comic is actually continuing this far. The fact that this series has made it to 27 issues, still in single format, is such an amazing feat. And what a great fantasy adventure story it is. This is all about Kaya, who is a young girl with a magical arm, who thought she was born the Golden One, but only to find out that she was actually not the Chosen One, and it was actually her little brother. And so when her village was destroyed, she took it upon herself to protect her brother and actually help him get to the gods who can train him in the magic so that he can actually save the people of the world. But of course, everything along the way has been an absolute disaster. And over the last arc or so, they've been teamed up with the god, the demigod Raziel, who is the trickster god who she does not trust, but Jin, her little brother, is very much like, this is the only person who can teach me and who has been able to teach me how to control my magic so far. And they are kind of starting to actually let Jin explore using his magic to actually help people. And so in this issue, they are trying to break some people out of prison, and kind of get the idea of the Chosen One, the Golden One who's coming to save them, spreading far and wide. But people don't really trust that there is a Golden One and that this little kid could possibly be it. And so whether or not they're going to actually make it, and that Jin's really going to be able to control his magic, we're going to continue to see as they go through the process. Farmhand has returned, and we are on issue 22 from Image, which is a part of our final arc of Farmhand. And this is basically a story about a person who you know, decides that you could grow body parts, and maybe that would be the solution to all of the problems in the world, is if we could just grow like human body parts. But when you grow anything like that, of course, you get the Frankenstein, who is the monster, who is the man kind of situation, and the parts have mutated, the people have mutated that were grown. We got zombies basically everywhere, and we've got a hive mother who can control them, and she has really destroyed a lot of the world, and we've got this little bit of resistance that is still in the town where the zombies sprung from, and are kind of still on that farm trying to like get out there. And in this issue, we are working on a mission to go to save a young boy who the priest of the town believes is kind of the quintessential piece that they need to save everybody. And he's been having these visions that he feels like he needs to save this kid. And we learn that sometimes when you sacrifice the many for the one, it doesn't work out really well, and we're going to see exactly how poorly that can explode on us in the next issue. Galaxy of Madness, issue 10 from Mad Cave. This is finally the end of the Galaxy of Madness, and what a great, like, crazy ending it is. If you've been following this book, it has been all about a young girl who was on, like, is essentially a space archaeologist, and she's been raised by her godfather because her parents decided that they needed to go out and explore a mission and got lost in space. And so she's been working on these digs with her godfather, but has decided that she really wants to focus on finding her parents. And over the last 10 issues, she has figured out all of that. We saw some crazy twists and turns where her godfather essentially became like a Galactus, like planet-eating god kind of situation, and destroyed a lot of worlds. We saw the possible return of her parents and how that would impact her. And in the last issue, she really started to struggle with what happened with her godfather and the way it was handled. And in this issue, she comes face to face with the fact that you control your own destiny and your own reality. And if she had the power to do that, what would it look like? And what should that look like for everybody? And it's a really good wrap up to a crazy off the wall space adventure. The Patchwork Girl of Oz, issue 5 from Image Comics. If you are a fan of The Wizard of Oz, this is one of the many books in the series, and this is a nice adaptation of the story of the Patchwork Girl, who is basically built from rags and cloths by a magic man's wife. And she's supposed to just be a servant who can help in the building and kind of do all the work for the woman. But the young, unlucky as he was, boy decides to give it some brains and some spunk when nobody is looking, and that totally 100% backfires and leads to the woman and the boy's uncle getting frozen. And now it is up to them to go on an adventure along with the glass cat to find the pieces they need for the magic man to save the day. And so they are going to go all throughout Oz to find to get to Winky territory. And in this issue, we actually come across a munchkin who is able to tell us what's actually been happening in Oz, because none of these people have any clue what's going on. And so we learn about a little bit about Ozma and Dorothy and what's been going on with the Tin Woodsman, who now leads Winky Country post the destruction of the Wicked Witch. And so we're going to see exactly where this story goes, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. This is actually going to move to digital comics and trade paperback graphic novels only, which I'm really sad to say. This is why it's important to go to your local comic shop and pick up issues if you're enjoying a story. I'm hearing a lot of people who are like, I'm really excited about this. And of course, here at Bat City, we have like 6 or 7 people each week that pick this up. But if you're somewhere else and you're like, oh, wow, I really like that issue, whether it's this one or something else, we're seeing a lot of stories right now where the creators, especially at Image, where they're paying for it themselves, are saying, I'm going to have to move to graphic novel format because there's not enough sell on the single issues. If you like a book, your money speaks more than your review on the internet does. Go to the store and put it on your subscription list and buy that comic. Make sure your store knows to order it. If you do have a way to talk about it on the internet, talk about them on the internet. Tell your friends to go to comic book stores and pick it up, because if we want to keep seeing awesome books in single issue format, it's up to us to actually buy them and share them with friends to get them to buy them, and so we can continue to see these great books in that format. We've got Mark Spears Monsters, issue 5 from Keenspot, a book I don't have to tell you to pick up, I'm sure. This is all about the world of essentially the Universal Monsters, with a little bit of add-on friends. And they are kind of all the monsters are coming together in different ways because the Slayer is back and he is determined to take out some of the more problematic monsters. And right now the big monster that we're dealing with is that the Wolfman is on the loose, and we are seeing this in the form of some kids who are at out doing their Stand By Me, kind of playing at the stream under the bridge kind of thing, and go into the convenience store to make terrible decisions. And in that situation, they're attacked by the Wolfman, and they must find a way to get to safety before the Slayer can be there. Meanwhile, we see that the Bride of Frankenstein has been chained up, and the person who is watching over her is Igor, and he is coming to her with some very potentially dangerous ideas and thoughts. But this is really cool. Mark Spears does the entire interior and is writing the story. So a lot of people are like, oh, I really like those Mark Spears covers. I wish there was more. Well, it turns out that there are 28 pages of Mark Spears covers inside the book, as well as a great story about the Universal Monsters every time. It's great that he does 5 or 6 covers for the outside, but don't forget to check out the inside where he's actually hand painting. And I was told this week with acrylic paints, which I have to look into because that's really cool if he does all of this in the acrylic format and then scans it into comic format. Either way, it looks really cool, and who doesn't love another story about the Universal Monsters? We've got issue 4 and the wrap-up of Pop Kill from Mad Cave and our store friend Jimmy Palmiotti. This is a wild, wild book, and I don't know how much of this issue I can show you, so I'm going to do my best. If you don't know what Pop Kill is about, this is basically taking the idea of the soda wars between Coke and Pepsi and really blowing it up into a complete action movie. 2 twin brothers own the opposite, Coke and Pepsi kind of things. One of them has a woman on staff who is a scientist who has figured out how to make a soda never lose its carbonation. The other one has an assassination person, assassin, that's the word, on payroll, who he sends to go find this woman, only for the 2 of them to kind of fall for each other. And now we have he has to come save the day because she's been taken back and stolen. There's some double crossing, there's some twists and turns. There is a solution in this story, but the second half of the book has a lot of things I can't show you, both because I don't want to spoil it and also because there's a lot of boobs. But a very mature comic, but also really just a great action film, honestly. Somebody should turn that into an action film because Jimmy Palmiotti definitely wrote it perfectly for that. We are going to Junie Baugh's Monkey Meat issue 4 from Image Comics. This is going to be 4 of 5. Our summer series of Monkey Meat is almost done, and I'm very sad to say that because nothing is as good as a fresh newsprint comic in your sub box each week or each month. If you don't know Monkey Meat, it is an anthology of stories about how corporations are evil, and Junie Baugh does it with the story of the Monkey Meat Corporation, which is kind of an all-inclusive corporation that uses the island that they produce all of their foods and goods on as also a tourist destination. And in the first story in this issue, we actually see a family book what they think is a great summer vacation situation, only to find out that the place that they booked is actually completely AI enhanced on the internet and is actually not what they bargained for, nor is it free and vacant. And they learn that the hard way, as their experience is absolutely terrifying and terrible. And then the second story is all about a influencer who thinks he's being picked up for an immersive experience on the island from the Monkey Meat people, only to find out that they actually think that he is the mech suit runner who they hired to come in and clear out all of the people that they are pushing out of their homes with a giant mech suit. And it's not the experience he signed up for, but it's definitely an experience, and we get to see exactly how corporate greed and evilness can definitely consume everybody in this latest Monkey Meat. Wind, this is volume 4, issue 4 from Boom Studios and James Tynion. If you haven't read Wind yet, I don't know what you're doing with your life. It's such a gorgeous, beautiful story. You should definitely jump on it. But it is the story of of a young boy who has magical blood in a place where magical blood has been outlawed. He is raised in secret by the woman who is the barkeep. And a lot of things have happened since that exact thing has started our story off. But basically, a ragtag group of people who are allies and weird blood and things like that have all come together and are trying to actually save the world. Meanwhile, the adults are actually just trying to start a war, it seems like, because they're all worried about their money, their power, and who is actually corrupt. And so now we are seeing a war between humans, fairies, vampires, and all other kinds of magical creatures who also are all against magical creatures all at the same time. It's very odd and very strange. And yet this seriously is one of the best things James Tynion writes. It is so fantastically good. The world is done. Michael's art is so extraordinary on this book. I love it so much. And in this issue, we actually get to see some vampire double crossing. We get to see the humans actually learn maybe there's ways to work together, and we get to see some people who have been very against weird blood learn that maybe they need to be a little more accepting. And I love this book so much, and I know eventually James Tynion is going to have to end it, and this is the one book that I don't want him to end, because I just want this world to keep going forever and ever. And there are beautiful, like, compact size trades for volumes 1, 2, and 3. If you need to catch up, you absolutely do need to catch up, so you should just jump on it. Speaking of James Tynion, we have Let This One Be a Devil issue 4 from Tiny Onion and Dark Horse, and this is the end of Let This One Be the Devil. Be a Devil, I should say. And this is a story all about the Jersey Devil and the true story behind it, a story behind it. And I really particularly say it that way because it is actually, like, is it a true story? Is it not? And we kind of flash between different time periods. In this one, we start out with some kids who are essentially trying to Blair Witch the Jersey Devil. And we see how that works out for them. And then we flash back to our 1909 story, which has kind of been our main story of two brothers who are in a place where the Jersey Devil is supposed to be, like, the most prominent, and neither believes, but both have had experience with it, and we kind of see that come to fruition in this one. We see a little bit more of the conclusion of the very original story that started this. I just love this. This is Peter Kowalski on art, which if you're fans of Where Monsters Lie and things like that, you probably recognize this art style. What is it? What is the 8? All eight. What is the spider one that you love?
All 8 eyes.
All 8 eyes. It is all 8 eyes. Okay, I was like, that doesn't sound right. They don't have, but they do have 8 eyes.
All 8 eyes.
Okay, yeah, also similar, the same artist. And then each one of these has a weird backstory, and this one has the Ogopogo, which is a Canadian Loch Ness monster, essentially, that haunted this particular, and still does, this particular waterway. And you may still see them, but it was all about how they tried to market it and turn it into an actual spectacle in the 80s and 90s into the 2000s, and how eventually they were like, we need to give this back to the culture that discovered this animal because bad things are happening to people who are trying to make money off of it. We've got Jump Scare issue 4 from Dark Horse. This is all about a new world of superheroes, essentially. I actually wish this would tie into the Minor Threats world, because this would be such a cool Minor Threats world villain. But this is about a girl who got they called it the Leviathan blood. Essentially, there was like this incident, and this girl got the blood, and she became one of the superheroes / villain kind of people. She's essentially a vigilante. Growing up in extremely religious family, they always kind of outcasted her because she was so different from them and obsessed with horror movies. And when she got her superpowers, they actually became the powers of the superhero, the super villains in the slasher movies and things that she loved. And so basically, she can call forth a weapon of anybody from a horror movie that has ever existed, and she uses those in her fighting style each time. And so over the course of the three issues prior, her sister, who is still very much in the family way, has been kidnapped and her family comes to her and is like, you have to save your sister, and she's like, you guys all kicked me out, I don't really know why I need to be a part of that, but of course she does it anyway. And so this is her journey into trying to figure out how she can save her sister and whether or not her family is actually worth even working for. And we are left on a major cliffhanger for what I thought was the last issue of this story. So we better get a second volume, or there better be one more issue, or I'm gonna lose it, because we got such a good open ending that it needs to keep going. Godzilla Heist issue 4 from IDW. This is such a fun Godzilla story, which is a thing we could say every week on this live stream, because there's so many good Godzilla books coming out right now. But this is all about a guy who is known for his awesome crime skills, specifically in his power to use Godzilla attacks as a way to get distractions while he does heists. And so he is hired by a group of people to go on this heist with them, because they need his Godzilla tracking skills and calling skills. And we find out that he, in issue 1, that he is double crossing them, that he knew that he was going to get kidnapped and forced into this heist, and he needed them to do that because he is trying to reclaim the proprietary materials that belong to his family, which we've learned over the course of the time what exactly that is. And so he is out to do just that, but he has been double crossed as well. There has been a whole bunch of just like twists and turns in this book, and now he is at the point where he is finally got a chance to get back what belongs to him, but with all the double crossing and the twists and turns, who knows if he's going to be able to do that. They really just need like one good chance at what he needs in order to do it. And whether or not he actually truly does control Godzilla is a question that we are going to see answered very soon in this book, because he's not really as in control as he likes to believe he is. The Herculoids, issue 4 from Dynamite Comics, and this is part of one of their, their millions of cartoon comics right now in this like Hanna-Barbera world that they've kind of brought us, which is really exciting. This one particularly follows a creature that is on their planet who, in his culture, they are supposed to pick a beast caused to them, essentially, and they must destroy that beast in order to be named like an adult of their species. And so it is called to or connected to the dragon that the Herculoids have, and it's like, I have to go out and I have to destroy this animal. Because of this calling, though, the dragon from the Herculoids actually like goes to it like knows that it's supposed to do that. And it's just this parallel story of the family of the young kid like hoping that their young kid will be able to slay this dragon, and the Herculoids kind of like, I wonder what our dragon is up to. And we see this story a little bit from both sides, and kind of how the two stories merge together, and what's what real value is, and what shows your aging and maturity, and that coming of age story kind of coming together in this final story. Or not final story, it's not the last issue of the Hercules, it's their story. It's kind of just like the that one shot, essentially. You don't really need to read any of the other Herculoids to read that. We have Solomon Kane issue 3 from Titan Comics. This is, if you are a fan of things like Conan the Barbarian, where it's that big like novelization kind of stories come to comic form, this is definitely a good one for you. It's not a barbarian story, but it is kind of that level of writing. And this is specifically Solomon Kane, who is kind of like a Puritan pirate, essentially, is on a quest to help a woman and her father get to a place where they can find the serpent ring, because that was in a letter that he got from a man on a pirate ship that he actually killed. And so he's been helping them do it, but in the process, the people on the pirate ship that found out that he got that letter have come after him, and so now they're being forced to do this with these other people who are like, we will kill you if you don't take us to this treasure. And so they're on this massive adventure, across like all of this, like across Africa to find this serpent ring. And we're starting to see a relationship start to bloom between the young girl and Solomon Kane as the two have connected. And of course that makes the pirates jealous who have wanted to be with this woman. And so we're getting some twists and turns of people kind of double crossing Solomon Kane, but I don't think Solomon can die. I think he's got a little bit of immortality coming his way. And so we see some bad attacks and some people coming after them, and we think Solomon may be left for dead, but I'm starting to wonder if that's a thing that can actually happen. We've got Plague House issue 3 from Oni Press. This is such a cool story, so many twists and turns, and I really don't want to spoil any of it for you, so I'm going to do a very broad overview of this story. Basically, there is 3 people who work on a podcast that investigates houses that are haunted or other buildings, hotels, any haunted place, trying to find stuff. And as far as we know, in issue 1, we have a very strong skeptic. We have who doesn't believe in any of it. She's just kind of really good at the podcasting side. We've got a priest who is able to see everything that is happening and is very terrified and believes that demons are there. And then we have the guy that runs the show who very early on in the first 2 issues stopped giving credit to the people on his team and kind of was just like, oh, it's all me. I'm the star of the show. It's all about me. And he lost his 2 people. Well, they go in, and when the priest goes to investigate, in this issue we see the priest go to investigate a haunted house on his own, feeling like he's called to it, only to have something terrible happen to him. And the other person on the team, they go to investigate the issue in this situation where the priest went missing, and they are like, I can't find them, something happened, and they end up in an asylum because of how crazy they go with whatever happened to them in there. So we're left with just our main guy having to deal with it. But if you read issue 2 there, you know that there's something completely up with him. And so it's like we have our missing priest and our missing podcast, and our crazy podcaster who our tech person, and what's gonna happen to the main guy, I don't know, but this book is wild and you need to read it, and Michael Conrad is nailing it with this story. Our Brilliant Ruin, Horror at Crane Mansion, issue 3 from Dark Horse, and this is related to the Our Brilliant Ruin board games. I believe they're board games. There is also a podcast for it, so but this is all about a woman who is hired to come into this place, and this Crane Mansion essentially, and basically scout out the different suitors that have arrived for the lady of the house at her debut. And as she's doing that, they kind of uncover a monster in the building, and something terrible is there, and people are getting murdered, and so they lock everyone in the building so they can figure out who the monster is and what's going on and where it's coming from. And now they're kind of all stuck in here with this, and in this issue we do actually get to learn what it is about this place and where this monstrous entity comes from, and what it is that's poisoning everybody in the building. And as you see that unfold, you also kind of solve some really cool murder mystery situations in a supernatural way. Really fun book, but if I show you anything, I will spoil exactly what the mystery is. And it was a really good twist and turn, so I don't want to spoil it. You're just gonna have to read it. It's 3 issues, jump in, read them. I'm going to take another drink of the Pixide Tempranillo before I go through the second half of the books. It is so light, and yet so much flavor on the front kick. There's so much to it.
Gotten way spicier.
Yeah, it's gotten way spicier, which is crazy because again, it's been narrating for an hour.
But
and in the glass, it's it really opens up, especially because these are specifically made for Tempranillo, so they get all the air perfectly to spice out. These glasses, by the way, if you didn't know, were made for us by our amazing friend Sammy Mask, who is the digital arts teacher at the Manatee Charter School. We love Sammy, and these are super cool. Thank you so much, Sammy. We use them all the time, not just on the show, because they're fantastic glasses. Perfect for my favorite wine. All right, we are going to talk about some Thundercats with Thundercats Lost issue 3 from Dynamite Comics. This series for the Thundercats, because there are several Thundercats series on the shelf right now that are all interconnected in different ways. And the main Thundercats follows our main Thundercats, and then there's Thundercats Apex, which is kind of about Lion-O being trapped in a different world. This Thundercats Lost is about a different group of Thundercats who first tried to explore if something bad happened to them, how would they end up moving from Thundara, like where would be another place they could go. And it's kind of a bunch of Thundercats we don't necessarily really know that aren't in our main group, and they are on this new planet, and as they've been trying to figure out their own leadership, they have been captured in this issue by another group of people who are already like living on this planet, who we think initially are friends, but in this issue we're starting to see that there is something dark and mysterious about what's going on with them, and we don't really know why they don't like the Thundercats going into this issue. But not only do we learn why they don't like the Thundercats, we also learn what it is that has made them crazy, which is like an obsessive religious behavior, and why they are attacking the Thundercats. And again, I almost don't want to show you because the way they are attacking the Thundercats is way darker than you would ever think would happen in a Thundercats book. I was like, why is this story so dark? This is a children's cartoon. But this is not a children's book, because this is almost like Walking Dead level of like insanity of people like feeling like lost people feeling like they need to attack each other, and like their religious beliefs really skewing their mind. Insane issue for Thundercats Lost. Definitely, if you're a Thundercats fan, you should be reading that series. Adventure Time, issue 3 from Oni Press. I feel like saying insane issue just automatically perfectly describes talking about Adventure Time. If you don't know, Adventure Time is back at Oni Press with all new issues and new adventures. And our overarching story is that Finn and Jake are supposed to be on a hunt to find this book that can basically like help Computer Princess save the world, but every adventure leads them down a completely different path. And in issue 2, Fire Princess asks Finn if he would go essentially on a date with her to an art gallery showing that Princess, the Bubblegum Princess, will ask him to go on, or is hosting. And so they go to this art gallery only for a monstrous creature named the Impressionist to attack them all, and they are now getting trapped inside of portraits, and they have to figure out how to fight their way out of these paintings, and nobody really knows how at first, but we learn to work together, and Finn learns to overcome his incredibly shy personality towards Fire Princess. But it makes for some really cool art, since they are trapped in Impressionist paintings, and they have to go into different types of paintings to do it. So it was a really fun adventure in art. And all the while, Finn is kind of dealing with the fact that one of the princesses told him that he wasn't a real hero because he just went on kid adventures, and he feels like he needs to up his game if he's ever going to be a real hero and wants to save people. But he is trying to deal with that internally and externally as the story unfolds. All right, we've got one of Matt's favorites on the shelf with Buried Long, Long Ago, issue 2 from Mad Cave. Such a fantastic book. Look at he's having a moment. I'm so glad that I told Matt that issue 2 was out before this live stream, because I would have ruined everything and it would be very sad. But if you don't know this story, that opens up in issue 1 with a woman and her 3 daughters who is getting married to a new man and is bringing the daughters home to be a part of this new happy family that isn't going to be very happy for very long. Lots of crazy, dark, demented things happen in issue 1. One of them being that one of the little girls sees what she fears is like this ghost-eyed creature in lamp eyes, like gas lamp kind of eyes, out in the woods. And candlestick eyes, that's the word I'm looking for. And she is very afraid of it. Meanwhile, the older daughter sees some very weird things that the mother is up to. So we've got a lot of tension going into issue 2. And that tension only mounts higher because after they lose their new stepdad, one of the farm hands decides that it's up to him to kind of be there for the family. And it gets dark and it gets weird, and I'm not going to tell you how. I'm just going to tell you, honestly, if you're fans of things that Junji Ito writes, this is an American comic that really kind of feels very, very similar to the things that he is putting in his books, with that same level of intense horror, with family connection, with people all going in different directions, yet coming in the same thing. This is definitely an American horror story that you need to pick up for sure.
And if you like The Witch.
It's definitely, because it is in that old time period, and it is kind of geared around the kids, and the kids being like, what is this weird thing? In this issue, I'm going to show it again. I know I showed that page, but in this issue, there's a part where like the pigs attack. As a Wizard of Oz fan, I am actually terrified of the idea of pigs stampeding. If you don't know, like that's the whole thing at the beginning of The Wizard of Oz with Dorothy falling into the pig pen, and the guy who eventually in her dream world of Oz becomes Cowardly Lion, because pigs will keep trampling until they'll just run and they'll trample you to death. And the 2 little girls fall into the pig pen, and it is like the most intense thing that I have been like worried about since I was like 3 years old. And so I'm like, oh my God, the pigs are gonna trample them. And that's not the worst thing. It's not even the most terrifying moment in this book. And so if you're just looking for a good horror story that's well written with good art and builds that tension and drama in every single issue, and yet you still kind of are like, I don't know what the horror is completely, this is going to be the one. If you want to have fun with some horror, we've got The Slasher's Apprentice issue 2, also from Mad Cave. This is a complete opposite end of the spectrum. This is about a person who really, really, really wants to be a serial killer in that slasher kind of world, and is going about it in a way where they've like found the most, like the serial killer with the most kills over the history of time, and has just like shown up at their place, their hiding place, and is like, hey, you should let me be your apprentice. Like, I could totally help you with kills, and I could learn how. Plus, also, you've gotten really sloppy in, like, the later years of your life, and you're going to get caught. So you kind of need a buddy. And the slasher doesn't speak, so they're like, just come with me, you know, follow me kind of situation. And the apprentice is like, I guess that's how to do it. And so the apprentice, whose name's Riley, goes with them to take out, like, a frat house of people, and decides that it's their job to kind of make sure that the slasher makes it out, and wants to try their hand at killing. And it's just pure comedy, as Riley is not very good at any of this, and it really takes it in some different directions. It seemed very, like, in the first issue, it kind of seemed like we were getting, like, something similar to things on the books that are coming out right now, but then that comedy level and that, like, desire to really just be a slasher and yet not good at it, really twisted the turns on this book for sure. Arcane Royale issue 2 from Dark Horse. If you have not read this one yet, this is about a girl who is really good at playing poker, and because she's so good at it, she's recruited to be a part of a mysterious game that is played with a different set of cards and a different set of rules, and she is supposed to be taking this game out. She's and all of the essentially demonic players of the game, but you know, she's not doing so well. In the first issue, she does actually win her game, but she is attacked by the people in the game outside of it later on. And now in this issue, she meets a mysterious stranger who actually saves her from the situation that she was in, who kind of tells her a lot more about the world of this game. And honestly, like, the lore that they built for this is really good, in that basically the cards that you're playing with and the stakes that you're betting, it's not just money, it's essentially what is happening in the world. Like, the way your cards work is the way that, like, bad things happen in society. And that kind of gets in her head a little bit in this issue, because she realizes that she doesn't necessarily want to be the person who causes somebody to go through the same level of suffering and pain that she went through in her life, nor does she really want to be the one who destroys the world, but she does want to be the one to fix it. And so she's trying to figure out how she can balance the good, the bad, and the ugly of this game and still get out with her life intact. And we're going to see if she does it as the story unfolds. Dead Samurai issue 2 from Wake Entertainment. This is all about a person who is working for the emperor in Japan, and in the time period that they are doing that, a zombie apocalypse happens, and we don't really see a lot of zombie apocalypse stories set in like feudal Japan, so this is really cool to see. But basically, the samurai guard isn't able to save the emperor and everybody, and he's only able to save like the one daughter, and so he is escaped with her, and he is now on the run trying to figure out how to get her to safety, but also kind of figure out what's going on. They end up meeting a monk who's like, I believe that the place that I am from is still safe. We should go there. Meanwhile, the people who are supposed to be like the guards of the emperor return, and they're like, what happened here? Did the dead make it here? And what happened to the emperor? And they're like, oh, the guard wasn't able to save him, and we don't know if he's still alive. We don't know if the princess, we believe the princess is on the run with him, but we don't know like what's going on. And so they're like, we have to get her back. And then of course there's some like, bad guys like vagabonds who want to steal her and use her for ransom. So you're fighting against the dead, you're fighting against some thieves and mercenaries, you're fighting against your own people who are mad at you, and you don't even know what's going on, and some bad stuff is always around every corner. Really, really cool way to do a zombie story. Turbo Hawk from Cosmic Lion Productions. This is issue 2 of Turbo Hawk. This is about a guy who's essentially a mech warrior, and he has been also newsprint. He has been trying to, make a difference in the world and kind of like really just stop some bad guys and stuff. And in this issue, or in the last issue, I guess, he figured out that the person that he was looking for, Rain, was still alive, or was rumored to still be alive, and so he's like, I have to find Rain, I have to save them, this is what I've been, I have to do this. And in the process of trying to do that, of course, something terribly bad happens to Turbo Hawk, and he is captured, and now we have some of his allies who have been looking for him kind of trying to come through and save him. And so this issue, the first half kind of finds Turbo Hawk as he's trying to find Rain. The second half kind of follows the other friends who are trying to save Turbo Hawk before it's too late. But it's all like heavy ink newsprint kind of story, so it's a really cool adventure story for those who are looking for it. Another book that I don't know how much of it I can show you, but we never get to talk about them because they're always gone, and since there's an issue 1 that we have, I figured I'd bring it. We have Heat Seeker. This is the exposed volume, issue 1 from Titan and the Hard Case line, and these are actually really great espionage, like fun stories, and we never really get to, like I said, we never have any left by the time of the live stream, so I never get to bring it. But this is from the Gun Honey world. So Gun Honey is a different spy who is allied with Heat Seeker, and Heat Seeker, at the end of their last volume, actually found themselves taking home a young girl whose dad was essentially the bad guy in the last volume, and so she's been orphaned, and Heat Seeker is raising her and hoping to keep her safe. But a journalist who is a vlogger and out to expose Heat Seeker has found out a bunch of information about her clients and all of the people that she works for as an assassin and a spy, and is like, I'm going to expose everything you do if you don't meet me and give me the story I want, so I can go after some of your clients. Otherwise, I'm going to just expose you. And so Heat Seeker ends up meeting this person on a beach, and I can't show you any of it. And Huh? Because they're all naked. But Heatseeker thinks that they've solved the problem, and only to have it all blow up in their face. And we're going to see exactly how that plays out as this story unfolds. Again, very adult, but actually really good spy stories all at the same time. So if you like espionage and thrillers and fun stories, these are really good. They're just going to have a lot of boobs, too. All right, we got some more number ones. We've got Endless Night launching from Mad Cave. Really excited for this. This is the combination of the worlds of Exit City, Revolution 9, and Hour of the Wolf. And I'm really excited that they've all come together into one big underworld story. So basically, where this is going to put us in is there is a man who is an extremely rich guy who wants to be a villain, like he wants to be one of those dominating world monstrous villains, and he is approached by a secret society that is basically like, hey, the last guy that we had that was a part of the Nine was killed. We need another person. Here's your chance. If you want to be a part of remaking the world, you can join us. But in order to do it, you have to take out the guy that exposed everybody in Revolution 9. And you have to bring us this magic clock that basically can kill people. And so they're like, the best way to do it is get the clock and kill the guy and prove to us that you did it. And then and then you'll get to join us. Well, so he does get the clock, and they do put it in the room of the hacker that exposed them, and he can't handle the sound of the ticking, and he doesn't know where it's coming from, so he asks the hotel manager to move him to a different room, and he gets moved, but somebody else walks into the room and exposes the clock, and the clock does its destruction. And then we get to see all of our people kind of coming together, because the cops to investigate it are the cops of Exit City, which is where we're at. And then they also are face to face with our lead investigator from the Wolvenheart Society that shows up in Hour of the Wolf, who knows everything about this clock and all of the mysterious stuff going on. And of course, we're going to see Velveteen come back as she has to save our hacker, who is her person that she's saving. So we're going to see all three of these worlds come together with this ultimate villain they are trying to stop. And we're going to see exactly where this story goes. It's a big world. As of issue 1, you don't have to have read all three of the other stories. You should, because they're good, but you don't have to have. You can just start right here and jump into a fun thriller that's going to expose you to a bunch of worlds. And so you could read this one and then find out which characters you like and go back and read their worlds. And so it can work all the different ways. So feel free to jump in on Endless Night number 1. We've got The Sixth Gun, issue 0 from Oni Press, and this is Cullen Bunn's magnum opus was The Sixth Gun, and this is him kind of going back and giving us a couple of different stories. The first one is all about a knight who essentially is the forerunner to the Sixth before the Sixth Gun, it was a gun itself. And so this is a knight who is fighting against a witch who is trying to destroy the town, and is she's you can't stop me even if you are one of the Six. And so we kind of get to see that the Six goes back a really long way. And then there's 2 others, and this is it even says way before the events of the Sixth Gun. And then there is a story that is supposed to be is it during or after? Shortly after the stuff in the Sixth Gun, and we kind of follow a cowboy and a kid who are going to go to a mysterious mansion to investigate something that's going on. And we kind of see this is supposed to be after the world was rebuilt and everything's supposed to be okay, but in fact things are not okay, and there's some people, some mysterious ooze that gets loose, and some people who are out to do it. And then we see another story that is also taking place at the same time, and we see some people pulled out of time and put back into what seems to be feudal Japan, but there is something mysterious and monstrous about what is going on near them, and that same oozy stuff may be working its way through. So there is a long-running story that may just lead us back into the anniversary of the Sixth Gun, but who knows, we might see some new stories coming our way from that world soon. Last week I had two books I didn't get to, and now I've got them for you because I finally had to read them. So we've got The Killer, Affairs of the State, Issue 2, or Volume 2, Issue 1, and this is from Boom Studios. I really liked Volume 1 of The Killer, and so, which was kind of about a guy who worked as an assassin for the government, essentially, and all of the stuff that he kind of dealt with. And in Volume 1 of Affairs of the State, he got stuck in a desk job, like undercover, so that he could find somebody. In this one, he is actually like in the woods, staying in a cabin, and he's supposed to be hiding out until they give him the job opportunity that he's supposed to take, and like this is very specific to where he is, but while he is waiting for that job, he actually discovers that there's something weird going on with this house nearby, and as he just decides, because he's a spy, that he has to look into it, he discovers that they are actually human trafficking, and he feels like he's going to circle back to take care of that on his own at some point. And in this issue, he does actually get his new assignment, and as soon as he's done with that, which seems to be easy for him, he returns home to find out that 2 kids have escaped from the human trafficking home and are in his house, and they come for them, and he is like, okay, now I have to get involved and invested. This is another one of those stories that reads very much like a novel. It kind of feels like a French comic, and how how wordy it is and how like in-depth it is. And so if you liked things like Sarah Lone and how like in-depth that story went and how wordy it was, this is going to be another one that kind of does that same level of storytelling with a spy. But you, as of this first issue, it doesn't feel like you need to read the previous volume, but I really love the previous volume, so I'm going to say that you should, just because it was good. But I do think you could start right here and just jump in on this if you're looking for a in-depth story like that. Sherlock Holmes the Dark Detective, Knights of Frankenstein, issue 1. From IPI Comics, and we had a previous Sherlock Holmes volume from them that just ended, and that was all about him trying to fight against a chimera and figure out what was going on. In this one, we're dealing with a Frankenstein-esque style story. Watson has just gotten married and is trying to separate himself from Sherlock, as he always is. But he gets dragged back in because Sherlock and him were in an argument about whether or not a guy could have committed a crime, and John had been the man's doctor and was like, I don't think he committed the crime, but I can't give you the information, Sherlock, that you want because it's a violation of my patient doctor confidentiality. So Sherlock gets him served papers to actually have him appear in court for the guy's crime, just so that John has to go on record telling him the information that Sherlock wanted. And so John angrily goes to see Sherlock to give him a piece of his mind about it, only to find out that Sherlock is running off into into mausoleums in the cemetery in the middle of the night. And while he is doing that, and they end up inside of it, they discover that somebody has been shifting and switching body parts on people. And we see that, as Sherlock says, a very real version of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is coming to life, and they are going to have to figure out what exactly is happening. And I am so excited about the combination of the worlds of Sherlock Holmes and Frankenstein. This is going to be so good. I'm very excited. And these are also really well done Sherlock Holmes stories. And then lastly on here, we've got The Future Is, issue 1. And this is from Recca, who's a new publishing company. Some of you got this last week, some of you got this week, as there's been a whole cool, awesome, like strange tale of events going on with Recca. But the cool thing about this is that Recca is actually the word hacker in reverse. And so these are actually a bunch of cybersecurity people who came together to write a comic and create comics about people in cybersecurity. And there is a thing in here. So hackers and people into cybersecurity play games like Capture the Flag. I'm trying to see if I can find one of the pages that have it. They play like digital Capture the Flag, and in this book they actually put little clues so that you can play a game of Capture the Flag that's geared around this book. I'll come back to it when I find one. But there's little like flags and clues that you can actually go online and play the game. I actually had a customer come in here who bought this book who is in cybersecurity, and I was like, I have a question. how do you feel like people who aren't in cybersecurity can do on this capture the flag thing? Like, is it something really high tech and complex, and if we don't understand it, we won't be able to do it? And she was like, absolutely not. Like, there's some challenges that are a little bit harder, but honestly, like, anybody can do it. If you just want to have fun on the internet, it's just a great way to do that. So if you did get the book and you didn't try it because you're like, I'm not an advanced computer person, apparently you should try it because they should be fun. I'm looking forward to trying it. But basically in this story, these cybersecurity people have really like kind of just become vigilantes for the world, and they get a message from a woman who is in need of help for her daughter, because her daughter is working as a companion on the lunar colony for this extreme billionaire. And we find out that he is basically stealing all of their blood. Like, they have mandatory blood stealing sessions where he is harvesting all of their DNA essentially out of them. And so they all go undercover on this, and they convince him that something has happened back on Earth, and that he needs to let all of these people go. And it's this like really cool, like Ocean's 11 kind of conspiracy takedown, but they do it all through hacking and manipulating the world around them. And it's a fun adventure. It's only the first one, so we're going to see tons more. This is actually planned. There are 5 years worth of stories in this world planned. And so if you enjoyed this even just a little bit, like, keep going, because there's going to be so much more that's going to come from each of these characters as well as other characters and the universe in general. And we're going to see a lot of more games and fun that you can get out of this. And so the future is only beginning. Is what we should definitely feel is coming this way. And who doesn't want to see some cool vigilantes do some awesome stuff with cybersecurity? All right, I've got picks of the week for you. We're going to start with Be Not Afraid #1 from Boom Studios. This is just another great, awesome horror book coming your way with a lot of really cool premise. And I was reading it and I was like, did I already read this? And then I remembered that I read the teaser for it because I was so like, what is this? And also because it has Lissandro's art, and Lissandro did the art for Redneck. And so, and also for mine and Matt's wedding. And so this is really cool. But this is about a woman who has a son who shows up fully formed. And she thinks is going to be a perfect angel, mostly because of how she had him, and who impregnated her, I should say, only to find out that her son is anything but. And basically every person he interacts with and comes into contact with that he doesn't like, something bad happens to them. Curses, plagues, literally a guy like eating his own arm off, all kinds of strange things. And the tension in this book is honestly what makes it so good, because most of the issue actually centers around them at the dinner table, and it's supposed to be his birthday. And the son's like, Mom, I want you to like set another place. You've got to bring Grandma in. And when you meet Grandma, it is a thing. But this is, I mean, seriously, this woman, she wants to figure out how she can stop her son from being this terrible, essentially like Omen-esque terrible human that is killing the world around her. And she's worried that if she does anything against him, obviously he'll come after her. But she knows that this is her own curse that she got from the decision she made on how she had him. But you have to read the book to find out what that is, and whether or not she's going to be able to take him on is going to be the horror that lies beneath the story. It is going to be so good. I can't wait. Second of all, we've got Recognize. This is from Good Trouble Comics. This is technically issue 2 of Recognize, but it is just an anthology of stories, so it doesn't really matter if you read the first one or not. There are 3 stories in this anthology, and the first one is about Helen Stevens, who is known as the Fulton Flash. And this is really cool because it's a woman who... It's a track teacher who's taking her track like students on a mission like to donate some stuff, and they end up going to the museum. And in the running museum, they learn the story of Helen Stevens, who is a woman who was kind of like the first female track star. and one of the first females to break records at the Olympics for how fast that she was. And she was just from a small town, and nobody really, like, at the time thought that women should run. They didn't think women were in sports. Should be in sports in general, and there wasn't like a track team for women at all, and so she ended up not getting to even be a runner until she was in college. And when she won at the Olympics, she won by so much that or I guess not even the Olympics, it was the like the qualifiers. She won by so much that the girl that she beat tried to say that she was a man and not really a woman. And so she got like kicked out of school. She had all of these people, all of her like partnerships, all the teams that she was running on, everybody kind of dropped her. And it was a whole big thing where she was really slanderized throughout the world. And it kind of led to what is now the Title IX rule of like women in sports and helping like protect women in sports, which is not how the Title IX rule is being used now. Which is why this issue came out, because it was to explain really what that rule is about and how it was supposed to be there to help women and protect them. But Helen Stevens was a huge advocate for women and non-binary people and queer people in sports. And so seeing her story is really fascinating and wonderful to see. And then there is a second story in here about a young girl who feels like because she is young, like not even old enough to vote, that there's nothing that she can do to help change the world. And her mom's like, you can still get involved and you can still be a part of protests. And she learns about the poet Audre Lorde and kind of gets visited by the spirit of Audre, who teaches her exactly what it means to use your words to help other people and how you can get involved. And then this third story is all about a kid who is in school and is supposed to be writing a really great paper on, something that needs to change in this world and how they can impact change. And they write it about pronouns and about how it's important to use the right words when describing people. And the teacher tells them that there's something missing and to kind of learn more about themselves in the process and maybe put more of them in it. And so they learn about the lawyer and priest Polly Murray, who was somebody who was non-binary and who was one of the earliest people of their gender identity to go through law school at Harvard, and all of the work that they did at the beginning of the civil rights movement, and how they kind of coined a lot of the text and words that we used in our civil rights movement and on that quest to make a difference. And so it's really just great to see these really inspiring people who are different members of the LGBTQIA history and legacy that has impacted our culture, especially during Pride Month, to just see these amazing stories and to learn about people that don't necessarily get the spotlight when we talk about the advocates who have made a big difference. And so it's nice to have an anthology that's highlighting voices that we haven't always heard from. And then lastly, we have The Moon is Following Us, issue 10 from Image Comics, and The Complete and Total Destruction of Your Heart from Daniel Warren Johnson. If you are reading Transformers, or if you read Do a Powerbomb and you didn't read The Moon is Following Us, the whole thing is over now, so now's your chance to do it. But this is a story that Daniel really wanted to write for his daughter, and it's kind of just a love letter essentially to his own child about how he'll always be there. And it follows a young girl who is in a coma, and her parents can't seem to figure out, like doctors can't figure out how to wake her up. And the parents are approached by this man who's like, if you come with me, I can take you into the dream world and you can save her in there. And these parents have spent the last 9 issues trying to do just that, trying to break through to their daughter and save her from this experience that she's in. And in the last issue, we saw a lot of tragedy where we almost lost both parents. And in this issue, the little girl is like, I had the power to save myself and save everybody at any time. And like, let me do that for you, parents. And we kind of see the moment that parents realize like that you have to let go of your child and you have to give them the chance, the space to find their own wings and learn how to fly on their own. But we also see the moment where kids have to learn how to say goodbye to their parents and the sadness and grief that comes with that. And also the idea as a parent of having to say goodbye to your child and wanting to give them all of the tools that they could have to really just have that strength to keep flying even when you're not there. And seriously, like, I like put the book down with tears in my eyes and yelled at Daniel Warren Johnson in my kitchen today. Not literally, I did not speak to him. I just yelled at his existence somewhere. But such a beautifully done story. So well done, and such a perfect wraparound on the ending, back to the very beginning. And I love circular storytelling. But seriously, if you're a fan of Daniel Warren Johnson in any capacity, you're going to want to add this book to, like, as a trade paperback when the whole thing comes out. You're going to want to grab it. And if you've been waiting to read it, it's now over. So grab those single issues if you can't wait any longer, and just bring your tissues. All right, we've got a bunch of other books in stock this week. I'm going to fly through really fast. Birds of Prey issue 22, Absolute Superman issue 8, Absolute Green Lantern issue 3, which is Matt's favorite of the Absolutes, so you know you need to check it out. G.I. Joe Real American Hero 317, Helverine issue 7, Daredevil issue 22, Red Hulk number 5, JSA number 8, and the start of those DC Pride covers, Justice League, The Atom Project number 6, Radiant Black number 34, Amazing Spider-Man number 5 with that Marvel Rivals cover, Legacy of Vader issue 4, Scorched issue 41, Ultimate Wolverine issue 6. There was also Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion this week, but I am out of it, and that was issue 1 for that. Immortal Thor issue 24, X-Men issue 17 with our Marvel Pride variant starting. Storm issue 9, all new Venom number 7, TMNT Naruto crossover issue 4, which is the wrap-up of that. Secret 6 number 4. Power Rangers Prime number 7. Godzilla is back to fighting the Justice League now that he's taken out all of Marvel. He is back on the Justice League. So Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong Volume 2 has kicked off with issue 1 and this really dope cover. And then we've got our 2025 DC Pride Annual here for you this year. This is always a great book and always filled with wonderful stories. This year, we've got stories from Vita Ayala, Judd Ellison Doyle, Maya Houston, Sam Maggs, Tim Sheridan, and Josh Trujillo, who is known for his work on Blue Beetle. So it's going to be, I'm so excited. It's always one of my favorite anthologies. They do such a good job each year at DC, so I can't wait to read it. Make sure you grab yours. And then we've got some trade paperbacks and books. In fact, we've got Worth Fighting For, which is a meant-to-be novel. This is actually, like I just said, a novel, and this is a Mulan retelling, essentially, which I'm super excited about. But this is like if you put Mulan in the modern world, it's going to be so good. I can't wait. And then we have Dan in Green Gables, which is a queer retelling of Anne of Green Gables, about a boy who goes to stay with his mama and befriends some people from the area and the experiences they have. The other, Jay and Eve, this is a queer sci-fi graphic novel in a society where human cloning became the best way to make some quick cash. Reluctant roommates Jay and Eve didn't hesitate to donate their genes. However, that blows up in their faces, and you're going to find out how in this great story from Silver Sprocket. Mad Cave drops all of their trade paperbacks in one great week for you. We have String, which is all about a woman who can see the relationships between people, whether it is a sexual or a romantic relationship or a murder relationship, and she has been used by the police as an investigator, and now she has a string of death on her. What?
There's a pig
It was a pick of the week almost every single week that it came out. The only reason it wasn't every single week is because I had to mix it up. So you should just read it because the novel itself is a pick of the week. Gotcha Man, the solo adventures. This is some self-contained stories about different characters from the Gotcha Man universe. There's one for Ken, there's one for June, and there's one for Ryu, which is all really good stories. Hour of the Wolf. This is what you need. One of the many pieces of the puzzle for the Endless Night. This is the story of a woman whose husband buys a painting that murders people, and she's stuck dealing with it until the mysterious Woven Heart Society shows up to protect her. I'm just hoping we get more of the Woven Heart Society in Endless Night, because Woven Heart is it is the original Mad Cave book, or one of the original Mad Cave books, and one of my favorite Mad Cave books. So the more Woven Heart, the better. G.I. Joe Volume 1 has dropped. This is issues 1 through 6 of the Joshua Williamson G.I. Joe that connects to your Inner John universe, coming out now. There are 2 covers for this, so pick your cover on your trade paperback that you like best. Geiger Volume 3, which is actually issues 7 through 9 of the current run of Geiger, and Geiger Ground Zero 1 and 2. That was kind of our little bridge point between the old Geiger and the new Geiger. So if you are reading Geiger or you've been waiting on it, that new trade just dropped this week. Oh my gosh, so many good ones. We'll do, I said I was doing the Mad Cave ones, but I just threw other ones in there, so let's just keep going. The 27 run Crash. I was like, I know there's a subtitle. A pilot wakes up in an AI-driven mech suit and a nightmare filled with a world being destroyed, and apparently he's the only one that can save it, but also didn't know that until he woke up 2 minutes ago, and his robot AI is very snarky and very great. BattleQuest nailed it with this book. It's only $10 for the whole story, so... and then 2 more Mad Cave ones for you. Long Cold Winter. This is the whole story of a robot, essentially, who needs help. So he finds Peace Dog, who's a desperate ex-soldier, who is going to help this little robot kid make it to safety, hopefully, in this beautifully drawn Stefano Cardicelli story with Francesco Perillo on the storytelling, which is the same team from Love Me and... Don't Run with Scissors, yes. So you are definitely going to want to pick this up if you are enjoying either of those stories or did enjoy. And then lastly, Murder Kingdom, also a book that was a pick of the week pretty much every week that it came out. Actually, I think it was every week it came out too. This is all about a girl who works at a theme park in Florida. That is a fairy tale land, and a psycho starts killing everybody on the cast, like all of the cast members who work there, and she is the only one who feels like it's necessary to figure out who that killer is and stop them, and this is her doing just that. And if you are a fan of Disney, you need to read this, and if you are not a fan of Disney, you might like it even more. So check it out. It's really, really good. Definitely, if you were a fan of Dark Ride from Joshua Williamson, that's a great, another great theme park horror book to add to your collection. That's all I've got for you today. Don't forget, this Thursday we are reading Firepower #1 for our Fresh Start Book Club. Lots of amazing events have been added to our Facebook event page and our calendar on our Instagram and our website. So if you're looking for what's going on at Bat City for the month of June, make sure to check it out because it is stacked full of a ton of stuff. We will see you on Wednesday for New Comic Book Day. But if we don't see you then, we will definitely see you here next Sunday night at 9 p.m. to wind down your weekend with all of the best and greatest indie comics. As always, I'm Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, and happy reading, everyone. Bye.